in brief, for those who don't know about Lakeside, down on Route 50, about 12, 15 miles south of Easton, is a town that's been there 150 or 200 years. It has 400 homes in it. It sits just to the west of Route 50 with one stoplight, surrounded by corn and soybean fields. And in 2 decades ago, a developer came to that town, which had its financial problems at the time, and made a proposal, in effect, that if you will annex all this land that I've optioned across Route 50 on the east side, 900 acres of farmland, if you will annex that into our town, into the town, I will build this big subdivision there, and that will solve a lot of problems for you. And that was the essential arrangement.
And when was that?
That was set up in 2001, 2002 is when the options were written. It was annexed in 2003 with a proposal to develop a subdivision in this community of 400 homes, population of about 1,000, a subdivision of 2,501 homes, and a large quantity of commercial space that nobody even talks about, which is in the aggregate about the size, a third the size of the Annapolis Mall. And there's one stoplight presently at Route 50. The residential property is going to be developed as single-family homes, townhouses, mid-rise developments, and rental apartments and what have you. By annexing it into the town, this is a very important feature, annexing it into the town, all of the controls associated with the development of Lakeside prospectively are within the town of Trapp. Talbot County has virtually no control or governance over the Lakeside development, with the exception of the matter at hand, which is the sewer allocation. Is going on in Talbot County right now in early October of 2022 is this election. The Reset Lakeside effort focused on the election at hand, and the big picture of Lakeside, which is in effect what you're getting into here, you see. It's a rabbit hole. I mean, it's a mine. It's not a little rabbit hole. It's a mine of things that go on. And if we're doing 10 minutes, first of all, I don't think your readers or your listeners, viewers, are that interested today in that. I think what they're interested in today, my viewpoint, is what is this idea? You know, there's time for the background, and a year ago there was time. So I've got the answers to these questions. And if we had a 6-hour interview here, I did 2 hours on this set of topics in front of the county council, which you, I think, put on last December 13th. I would, I will do that. I would like to, you make the point about the difference between Shore Rivers and Chesapeake Bay Foundation and environmental groups who had initially raised issues about Lakeside, and yet we needed a new group to address it, and the work that I've done over the last 18 months to address it. And the reason for that difference is that those organizations are really committed to clean water, and they see themselves needing, appropriately, I guess, to discipline themselves to talk about clean water issues and pollution issues and what have you. And that's why they're concerned about Lakeside, because indeed there are serious pollution issues surrounding that. But it was outside of their scope of interest to delve into the bigger picture that involved all these land use and approval issues, which by circumstance is an area that I do know something about, and nobody else was looking into it, and I did. And as I said, the more I looked into it, the more concerned I got. The apparent approvals of Lakeside 2 decades ago, because people think Lakeside has been an approved project for all these years. The fact is that on December 21st, 2004, after Lakeside was annexed by the town of Trapp, on that day, and that was the only time Lakeside was brought to the Talbot County for approval. It was turned down flat, rejected unanimously, 5-0 by the county council, and that was Tom Duncan, Hope Harrington, Phil Foster, I forget the other names, but they were county council people who recognized what Lakeside was, which was a contradiction to the Talbot County comprehensive plan. They did not even send it to the Planning Commission, who would have probably turned it down. But whether or not the Planning Commission disagreed with it back then, the Talbot County Council rejected it. That was the only time until 2020 that Lakeside had ever come to the county for approval. People had forgotten about that. Instead, what people remember, because it was pointed out to them frequently, consistently, was that the project had gotten sewer construction approvals. They had gotten permits from the Maryland Department of Environment in 2005, even though the county had turned that project down flat. They had gotten, those permits were issued improperly. I will say they were issued illegally. It's why there's a lawsuit going on right now about those permits. In 2009, when those permits people became aware, the Talbot Preservation Alliance and Talbot County itself requested MDE to investigate how these illegal permits were issued. And MDE initiated that investigation. We have a letter from MDE. In February of 2010, they wrote the county and Talbot Preservation Alliance to say they've dropped the investigation, they've aborted it because it had become moot. Well, very convenient. But the point is that the justification for Lakeside that is in many people's heads, that this project was approved long, long ago, and it's the victim of having been caught up in some things, is the fundamental underlying fallacy. And it's what misled Talbot County into what people thought was a pro forma approval because of some sewer things, into approving Lakeside recently. Because of the fundamental omissions and misrepresentations or misunderstandings about its history, when Talbot County approved Lakeside, these were the things that were never discussed or reviewed. And it's why we need to reset Lakeside, bring it back to the Talbot County Council for a proper consideration this time. These things were never discussed. Schools, traffic, the county roads, the Sheriff's Department, EMT, public safety, our healthcare capacity. We're going to increase, Lakeside would increase the population by close to 20% with none of these. None of those items are being paid for by the developer. What's not being discussed is the impact of all this on Talbot County citizens' taxes. The addition of additional property tax, a property assessment base down there adds not a penny to Talbot County property tax revenues because of our property tax revenue cap. We can add $1 billion of property value. It gives us no aggregate additional revenue. All of that needs to be assessed. And the other two things that were not discussed, which are fundamental to our comprehensive plan and are the reason, honestly, that the county council rejected it out of hand in 2004, is the impact of this enormous subdivision on the Talbot County rural character and quality of life. And those are the two things that are the foundation of our comprehensive plan, which is supposed to guide us. 11 months ago, the Talbot County Planning Commission learned new information about Lakeside, things that had not been disclosed previously, they were unaware of, including matters having to do with the existing trap wastewater treatment plant and pollution in Latrap Creek. And the Planning Commission reversed its earlier decision because of the new information and found that the Lakeside project is inconsistent, that's the word of art, inconsistent with the Talbot County Comprehensive Plan, our master plan. Under Maryland law, the Planning Commission, and not the County Council, but the volunteer unelected citizen Planning Commission, not the political County Council, is the one charged with the responsibility of making a decision on whether a project is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And if the Planning Commission says it's not, the County Council cannot proceed with that project. The outgoing County Council, by a vote of 3-2, majority of 3-2, chose to ignore the Planning Commission and permit Lakeside to proceed. That vote took place back in March. It's why Talbot Integrity Project was organized when we had run that matter to its end with the County Council, and the Council still chose to ignore the Planning Commission. That Talbot Integrity Project was created. Initially to fund litigation, because we have to do what we have to do to protect the county from these things. And now that the election has come up, there is a way in this election, which is the objective of the Talbot Integrity Project, to bring the Lakeside approvals back to the Talbot County Council, to the new Talbot County Council, to reconsider the matter properly, including schools, taxes, traffic, and so forth. To do that, we need to elect to this new council members committed to, or candidates who are committed to bringing Lakeside back for proper consideration. Of the 10 candidates, 7 of the 10 candidates have publicly committed that they understand this, they've reviewed it, they agree with TIP, and have committed that if elected, they will vote to bring Lakeside back for a proper consideration of these issues. This is not, people think that because some homes have been started down there, and there are about 25 that have been constructed, none are sold, none are occupied. That's 25 out of 2,501 that are planned to come. They think because those homes were constructed, everything's too late and the matter's over. Well, TIP is here to say that it is not too late. The Lakeside approvals can be brought back for reconsideration properly, and while those homes may never be taken down, and certainly soybeans aren't going to be planted where the asphalt is located, the project can be reviewed, and matters having to do with its pace, its scale, its components, the complexity of it, all those matters can be, as a legal proposition, can be reconsidered by the county and changes made. So that's why Talbot Integrity Project's efforts this year, this election season, are built around the concept of hitting the reset button. It's reset Lakeside. It's not stop Lakeside. We need to go back and, as one of the candidates said, correct our mistakes. I would like to say who those candidates are, who are the ones who have subscribed to this proposition of hitting the reset button. At the top of our list is Pete Lesher, because he is an incumbent who for the last year has defended and worked with Talbot Integrity Project because he has understood this matter and he has been in office and has carried the water to get us to the position we are today. The other candidates, alphabetically, and Talbot Integrity Project is bipartisan, and these candidates are bipartisan. We've endorsed Republicans and Democrats. But alphabetically, if I can do this, it's Michelle Dappert, Phil Jackson, Keisha Haith, Scott Kane, Lynn Mielke, and David Montgomery. So we're recommending that voters vote for Pete Lesher and whichever 4 of the other 6 that they find most suitable. Because we know there are many other matters than land use alone. TIP's only objective has been to report to the community, and this is not just Dan Watson alone. We had a panel, bipartisan panel, Republicans and Democrats, 11 people, who vetted these candidates on this matter to report back to the community as to which candidates have a view about Lakeside and really about all these land use matters, because Lakeside is surely not the only threat to Talbot County when it comes to unsustainable growth.